Alright, NBA trade season has begun, and as is customary, we have a Bleacher Report article here. One trade every NBA team would make if the deadline was today. Written by Zach Buckley on December 15th. For those who don't know, December 15th is the date at which a lot of players signed over the off-season. Just a lot of players around the NBA can be traded in general. It just opens up a lot of possibilities. I did see that my GOAT, Kenny Beecham, has already posted a video reacting to this exact article. I haven't seen that video, so I won't be stealing his takes, but that man is a legend, and he knows a lot more ball than me, so definitely check that one out too, compare and contrast. I'm just trying to be like my boy. Anyway, let's get started. One trade every NBA team would make if the deadline was today. Okay, starting with the Atlanta Hawks. The trade: Kristaps Porzingis, Asen Noor, Luke Kennard, and a 2027 first-round pick via New Orleans or Milwaukee, so like the pick by the looks, to the Dallas Mavericks for Anthony Davis. So actually another video I've had planned, or that is planned, I just need to film it, is my AD trades. And I came up with something very, very similar to this, except I put Ricochet in the trade. So the reasoning behind that, and I think the same one here, is Asen Noor is like obviously a valuable player. I think they like him over there, and I've just picked him up recently. But the reason I put Ricochet in the trade is because, first of all, he was like a number one pick, and I think if you're giving out Porzingis, who gets injured a lot, and Luke Kennard, who shoots unreal from three like all season, and then just kind of is unplayable in the playoffs, at least is my experience. Obviously, the pick is potentially valuable there, but I do think that Ricochet also being like a high-level prospect that can handle the ball, that can do a lot of stuff, would be more of a carrot, even though Asen Noor is good. Asen Noor, I think the Hawks would rather keep almost out of those two, being the fact that they're sending out Porzingis and Asen Noor, and getting back and also often injured big in Anthony Davis. And as I talk about in the AD video, he could raise their ceiling a lot, the Hawks, but I do think like having another physical defensive big, or at least power forward type sized guy, wouldn't hurt. But with that said, they've still got a Congu lying around, and in general they've got quite a deep team if they're able to keep Trey and Jalen Johnson and get an upgrade that could help and fit as well as AD would. Sliding into that Porzingis spot is nice, I think. Looking at the Dallas side of it briefly, Porzingis and Kennard are expiring contracts, so you get off AD's money. Asen Noor and that pick is not a bad return. But again, I'll talk more about potential returns in that AD video, so go check that out here. It was the Celtics trading Anthony Simons, Josh Minot, a 2026 second, to the Bucks for Miles Turner. Interesting. Okay, I quite like that for Boston. I mean, immediately they get a guy who really fits the version of the Celtics that was really good with Tatum, right? He's kind of Porzingis, but almost more reliable, both to be on the court, and also like I feel like you kind of know what you're getting from Miles Turner, whereas Porzingis can play like he did in Game 1 of the finals and be like a cross between, I don't know, Dirk and Kobe. If he's not playing or he's not on, he can also go for like 6 points. Miles Turner did struggle to rebound in the finals last year, but I think like conceptually and at this price point, he kind of fits what the Celtics would be looking for. As for the Bucks, they get Simons, who like is just the definition of a traffic cone, I think. But like that man can shoot, he can play make. He's kind of played second fiddle to Dame a lot of his career, and I do think there's something there. I don't think the Celtics are loving him. He may be like that six-man type guy. I know that Bill Simmons likes Josh Minot. I don't know a thing about him. But, you know, like, the Bucks are getting a first here, and I feel like for Miles Turner on the contract they paid him for how he's playing now, you take that. Michael Porter Jr. to the Bulls for Patrick Williams, Zach Collins, and a 2026 first. It doesn't feel like, I guess like Patrick Williams and Zach Collins aren't doing anything for you if you're the Bulls, but are you really giving up a first to get Michael Porter Jr.? Like, I know he's playing great on that Nets team right now, shooting like at volume really well. Giddey, Kobe White, Michael Porter, Buzelis, Vooch. Okay, I don't know. It kind of doesn't make the Bulls like scary still, even if he plays great. I'm not a big fan of that one. Interesting idea though. Hornets, LaMelo trade. Okay. To the Clippers for John Collins, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Christie, and the 2030 first round pick, top 3 protected. This one's interesting because it has the Clippers keeping James Harden alongside LaMelo Ball, and also because you're not giving up a crazy amount for like the talent that he is. And I think keeping around your Kawhis, your James Hardens, Zubac, like some adults in the room, old and creaky as they may be, could put LaMelo on the straight and narrow, and he is the kind of like dynamic ball handler that they need to supplement James Harden, who's doing everything for them right now, but also potentially to ride out the next few years less painfully than they would if they're just giving their picks to OKC and no one, pops for them. I don't see anyone in this package that would pop for them. And I think the upside swing could be worth it, For the Hornets, you're just getting out of the LaMelo business. Like, for everything I just said about why he could be good, I think in Charlotte, he's just not gonna be. Like, it feels too much like a playground for him with no stakes. It's just one of those teams that might beat you on a random Tuesday, but you're not going to see in the playoffs. You're not worried about. Getting Collins and Bogdanovich is not going to change that for them, but you're stacking assets. Bulls. Okay. So Kobe White to the Timberwolves with Dillingham, Berenger, and Leonard Miller. Interesting. So like the young players from the Wolves. Kobe White would be the kind of guy they're looking for in Minnesota, he'd fit nicely next to, and I'm not sure he's like a crazy good defender, if even a good one at all. But yeah, like the Bulls aren't going anywhere, like sort of what I talked about with the MPJ trade. They're not, like, why not trade Kobe White, right? Like, he's on an expiring. You're getting really good high upside prospects from the Timberwolves. I know that Dillingham has struggled to get on the floor, and when he does, he's maybe winning the Anthony Simons and Dillingham Bowl for worst defender in the league. Minnesota traded up significantly to get him. And yeah, it's a shame it hasn't worked out, but I don't know much about Berenger. I've seen flashes of Leonard Miller. But if I'm the Bulls, I want these kind of players on my team, right? Even if Kobe White is objectively the best one in the trade by a bit. These are the kind of dudes who can eventually make a difference for you, whereas Kobe White, like if he leaves in the offseason, you'd rather have had these guys. Cavaliers, Max Strus to Memphis Grizzlies for Brandon Clark. So just trading injuries, basically. Max Strus is good. Anyway, let's talk about the trade. I can't decide if this is meant to be like an upgrade for the Cavs or not. It is their trade, so I guess so. Clark comes with his own injury issues, but Strus would also X with his own set. I just don't know if he would is he going to get that many minutes and be that impactful with DeAndre Hunter, Allen, Mobley, Dean Wade all still there, and Larry Nance is there as well, who's pretty good, actually. And you're trading away, basically your only shooter, off-ball shooter. I guess you've got Sam Merrill too, haven't you? And Dean Wade's not bad. Donovan Mitchell can obviously shoot it, but he's often on-ball. I don't know, I just don't love it for the Cavs. I feel like Strus actually fits them really nicely. And if you can't rely on Clark to be on the court either, I'd keep Strus around. Oh, this is just the one that we reacted to before. I think I covered Dallas's side of it in my recent one with the Hawks. Jump there if you missed it. Yeah, I like this trade. I think it's decent for them. It resets their timeline. Asa Newell could fit nicely next to Flag, for sure. Nuggets. Deron Holmes, Jalen Pickett, and a second-round pick to the Heat for Yaku Shonas. Hey, why are they digging around in my team's locker room? That guy hasn't even played for us yet. Which might make it sound funny for me to say, absolutely not. But, dude, the flashes we saw of Yaku Shonas in the G League, in the preseason, the Nuggets need another ball handler. Yeah, honestly, he hasn't played for the Heat yet because he's got turnover issues, but I really want to keep that guy around. He looks nice. And Deron Holmes, Jalen Pickett, I know aren't by any means their careers are over or anything, but nah. As a Heat fan, absolutely not. For the Nuggets, it makes a lot of sense. He'd be nice there. Pistons. Okay, this is Lowry. Oh, Trey Murphy. Okay. Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, 2027 first-round pick, and a 2030 first to the Pelicans for Trey Murphy, Sadiq Bey, and Micah Peavy. The last guy, never heard of him, won't talk about you, sorry. Okay, let's talk about this for the Pistons. I like the Lowry trade for them because I think his playstyle fits that tiny bit nicer. But I do know that Trey Murphy is, his playmaking has come up a lot. Sadiq Bey's been playing well this season. And they would both fit nicely into what Detroit's had. Has Sadiq Bey been in Detroit before? I feel that's right. But the other thing for me is like purely because of the money, the owner giving up Harris and Ron Holland here, not like your Jaden Ivies, not your Sar Thompsons, not that they would give him up anyway, I don't think, but you get my point. This is just an obvious yes, I think, if you're the Pistons. Trey would be really nice there. Not to repeat myself, but I've got another video coming up where I make sort of one move away trades. So yeah, I'll come back to this, see if I can cook up something, but I do like this. For the Pelicans, Harris is not going to hang around. Ron Holland is by no means ready. You're getting some picks back, but I think, you're not excited about this package if you're a Pelicans fan, but then are you ever excited about anything that New Orleans does? Let me know. I don't think so. Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski to the Milwaukee Bucks for Miles Turner. Yeah, fair. Again, like what I said about Turner going to the Celtics, fits their play style. Absolutely, the Warriors, I think, would want to do this. Kuminga just looks like a problem for them over there, and I think getting rid of him and Pods, who's got his own issues, to put in a guy who just fits. The Jimmy timeline, the Steph timeline, obviously he's younger than those dudes, but like is at his kind of peak, you'd think, right now, and just relieves Draymond of that always being at the 5, always being, giving up 5 to 6 inches of height with most guys and about a foot of your Wemby. As for the Bucks, I don't think you're getting many better prospects. Like, those two still have plenty of upside. I'd do that deal if I was them. I'd probably ask for a pick. Like, I did just get Turner and want to see what happens with that. But at the same time, it's not looking great. Just letting you know. And you might be better off getting off his contract now. Rockets. This could go anywhere. Tyrese and Jason Tate and a 2029 first-round pick to the Celtics for Peyton Pritchard. Is Reed Shepherd not like 2 years away from being Peyton Pritchard? I mean, I get the timeline element, like Peyton Pritchard would be ready sooner or now when they need him to be ready. Whereas, actually, Reed's not even in this trade. Oh my god, what am I talking about? Anyway, Tyreke Eason, Jason Tate, and a 29 first, I don't think is like a crazy price to pay for a player like Pritchard, and he just, he backs up that position. I think there's a bigger swing for them here. Like, I want to see them go get Derek White if they're going to Boston about a guard, right? And that's kind of the trade they have the assets to do, and that I think would really take them to that next level. Whereas this is like, yeah, that'd be better, but and I think the Rockets are ready to go for like a proper move. I'd swing bigger than this. Jarris Walker, Ben Shepherd, and a 2027 second to the Mavericks for Daniel Gafford. I believe Jarris Walker has been something of a massive problem for Indiana, just not looking good at all. Ben Shepherd, I think, is good. Shooter, decent defender, played in the finals as a rookie, which is impressive. Daniel Gafford would go nicely for the Pacers. He's just a workhorse. Like, I can see him really running up and down with him, backing up Siakam. Absolutely, I would do this for Indiana. It's also quite a nice, bridge year move, because Daniel Gafford in and of himself is not going to win you any more games than you'd want to win this season, if you know what I mean. But he's got a longer contract. It's a cheap, a good deal, and he's going to be around and locked in along with your core, And that's sort of what made Indiana work so well last season, was 2 big contracts and then a good collection of role players, and they were deep and they were, energetic. I loved that team. Wow. For the Mavericks, there's some upside there. I think Ben Shepherd is a guy to keep around. He fits in nicely next to Max Christie. He fits in nicely next to a point guard. He's kind of your Klay Thompson of the future, I reckon. All right, next one is James Harden to the Raptors for RJ Barrett, Akbarji, Jamal Shead, and a 2026 first. Admittedly, it's hard to say with any certainty that the Clippers would seriously explore this option if they could. Yeah, I mean, what he's saying about them possibly doing a fire sale this season, I can see it, but I feel like James Harden is a guy you keep if you can. Kawhi is a little toxic right now, and I'm not sure you could get rid of him because of that, but Harden's been doing the most, and he does so much for Zubac as well, who is the guy I think you'd keep, that for now I'd be wanting to keep Harden around. RJ Barrett for Kawhi would be a nicer swap as well, I feel, and Jamal Shead would definitely play for this team. Akbarji, I wish I could tell you more about him. Can't, sorry. Los Angeles Lakers. Alright, Connect, Kleber, and 2031 first. Herb Jones fits them perfectly. He's that sort of movement shooter plus elite defender with size that fits, perfectly into that Lakers roster, and he also isn't like Hachimura's not going the other way, so you've still got him, which I think is important. Connect and Maxi Kleber aren't doing really anything for you at the moment. The 2031 first. Hopefully Luka's still around then for you guys, or maybe he's in Miami. Actually, I'd prefer that. But no, I think you'll be fine with Luka in 2031. He'll be what, like 29, 30? Yeah, you're sweet. Herb Jones is on a long-term cheap deal as well, so great player to get on your roster. Love that for them. For the Pelicans, 2031 first, Connect. I feel like you can do better than that, I'm not going to lie. Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero and Nikola Jovic. This one is interesting. I'm a huge Heat fan, by the way. I assume their trade is coming up soon, but I don't think Ja is the guy for us, actually. Like, as a straight swap for Hero, I mean, Jovic, I really love that player, but he just hasn't been good this season. So as a straight, like, talent, I get the argument. You could say that he needs or would benefit from the organizational structure in Miami. But he just got the coach fired that our new offense is predicated on. I don't think that his game fits well, and he's shooting like 16 or 17% from three this season. I'm just kind of good on that, Miami Heat. Rozier, Larson, and Fontecchio to the Pelicans for Zion. So this is exactly something I'm sort of talking about from the Heat side, where you're getting up Rozier instead of Tyler. Pella I'd miss, Fontecchio not so much. Rozier, I'll drive him to the airport myself. I'll fly to Miami and then drive him to the airport. That's how much I'm ready for that guy to get out of there. And I like the idea of the talent swing without giving up first round picks. If that's like possible, I'd love Zion on this team. I mean, I think he has that kind of upside that Morant has too, but in a different way and in a way that fits our offense a lot better. I think we'd still start Davion, Tyler, and Norm, but having Wiggins still on the roster, having Bam, like you'd be able to play a bit bigger and run point Zion, or you could have those guards and like real physicality and athleticism in your front court, which I think would be nice. And like I said, that not giving up a first round pick and basically only giving up Pella as a player that would actually be on the court for you and make a difference. Sorry to Fontecchio, when you're hitting threes, I love you. Not so much when you're not. But yeah, Zion is just the kind of guy I would swing for at this price. Yeah, and what I said about like Ja potentially being fixed by the Heat, that structure, I think in a way would be even better for Zion because their medical team is so good, and I think they generally get people in really good shape. And from there, Spo could absolutely maximize him. Milwaukee Bucks, Bobby Portis, Andre Jackson Jr. in a 2031 first to the Pelicans for Herb Jones. So this is kind of a one where they're trying to salvage Giannis, because as much as I just gassed up Herb Jones to the Lakers, who are an actual contender right now, I don't think he does as much for the Bucks. Like, he'd definitely be an upgrade from this. And if they're doing everything they can to keep Giannis, I understand. He wouldn't be the worst guy to have around, even if Giannis did leave. But I don't think in and of itself this is convincing him to stay. With that said, talking about the actual trade, good shooter, fits nicely next to AJ Green and Rollins, who are, not a terrible backcourt to have. And then obviously helps with a lot of what the Bucks are struggling with. I don't think this is making them any kind of contender, but you could do worse things. You could trade for Kyle Kuzma. Next one, Timberwolves, Dante DiVincenzo and Rob Dillingham to the Chicago Bulls for Kobe White. Interesting, because we talked about Kobe White to... Did we talk about Kobe White to the Timberwolves? I feel like we did. And that was like a much different package, which I feel actually would work better than this one. Yeah, because the last one was Dillingham and Berenger and Leonard Miller, who I said were the type of guys Chicago should want. I don't see why you would give up Dante in this deal instead. I feel like he's an important part of that team. So yeah, if I'm the Timberwolves, I think I'd want the package that Chicago was getting in their article, right? I feel like a general rule of thumb when trading with Chicago is to let them make the first offer, because it's probably stupid and you can get a discount on whatever player you wanted from them. So if I'm Minnesota, I'm keeping Dante and I'm waiting for Chicago to call my phone about wanting Kobe White, because I think the other package was definitely better for Minnesota. DiVincenzo, while being a better player, just doesn't do as much for the Bulls, I feel. I'd actually rather have the younger players if I was them too. Alright, Pelicans. Missy and Hawkins to Pacers for Jarris Walker, second round pick, and another second round pick. It's kind of just a boring one. Okay, Hawkins to the Pacers, could go nicely. Jarris Walker's not playing well for them, so it's like it's kind of a nothing for nothing deal, or your problem for my problem. I just don't have many opinions about this one. I would scroll past it if it dropped on the timeline. Knicks getting Giannis. Okay. OG Anunoby, Hart, McBride, Daddy 8, 2026 first, 28 first, 30 first, and 32 first. This is interesting because they give up OG, right, which is not the deal that's been floating around. This one I do like a little more than the Cat trade, if I'm allowed to say that. I think I am. This is my channel. But look, OG Anunoby and Josh Hart is like a lot of depth to give up, especially given McBride's in this deal too. But A, you're getting Giannis, so you do it. But B, you still have Brunson, Bridges, Giannis, Cat, and Mitch, which is like a big lineup, and it's got balance. And I do like the idea of a Giannis Cat front court. I feel like that would be nice, if you wanted to add another guard or some depth in general to this deal. So for the Knicks, absolutely yes. And for the Bucks, I feel like Anunoby's, this package in general is a great start, actually, in the Giannis trade. I think I like this better, but I don't know. Maybe it's to do with the 4 first-round picks. I didn't even realize there were that many. Oh, they're swaps. Okay, I mean, see, it's a team with Giannis, and you're not sure they're ever going to be bad, but at the same time, in 2032, he's going to be, 37? Could be worth a swap. Could be a good swap. But we'll see. You never really want to trade Giannis if you can avoid it. Alright, this one's got the Thunder trading Ousmane Dieng for Hayward Highsmith and 2 2028 seconds. I don't really think Brooklyn are buying Ousmane Dieng with seconds. This might be fine for the Thunder. I'm not 100% convinced Hayward would play for them in the playoffs. I've seen some bad Hayward moments as a Heat fan, but I've also seen some good ones. I remember he used to hit 5 threes one night, and then he might not hit any for 2 weeks. But, the 5 threes when they go down are sick. And I guess he just doesn't play for the Thunder if he's not hitting them. And he's obviously injured right now, and has been for a minute. So if it's just for the Thunder, get the future picks and a decent player for a player you have right now and don't have minutes for, then sure. But this is not some crazy trade that's going to make them a whole lot better. The Magic and Knicks, Jonathan Isaac, Jace Richardson, and 2 2028 seconds to the Wizards for Corey Kispert. Stay off my Corey Kispert. I love that guy. He's an underrated trade prospect, and he's been in a lot of another video I've got coming up, which is role player trades for contenders. I think Corey Kispert could do some damage in a lot of different teams. So for the Magic, absolutely one of those teams. I don't know if they'd give up on Jace Richardson straight away, but Corey is an upgrade. And Jonathan Isaac, for the Wizards, sure, he could defend for them a lot. He's quite a good defender, actually. You may have heard this. And he fits nicely next to Alex Sarr. Jace Richardson's good upside. I mean, Corey Kispert, as good as he is, isn't doing shit for the Wizards, so may as well get him to a contender, which was my thinking, but hey. This one is Jared McCain to the Grizzlies for Jalen Wells and Gigi Jackson. I don't mind this just because the Sixers' other guard rotation is looking so good. Obviously, you've got Maxey, but also having Edgecombe and Grimes really punching above their weight, or at least their contracts right now, is nice for them. I feel like McCain being the 4th guard, Jalen Wells and Gigi Jackson would be better than McCain being the 4th guard, I think. And Jalen Wells is like that as a defender, and I think they need some of that, especially considering that on this young timeline, they're cheap players, they're good. I love this for the Sixers, actually. This is another trade that I had planned. It was in my Take a Step teams, but the reason for it is very similar to what this article has, in that the price would be quite low for Zion, I think. I loved that trade for Miami, actually, because we gave up nothing, and Jalen Green can have moments, but hasn't really played for the Suns this season. So even if they get half a season of Zion, and half of that half season being him injured on the bench, he's still just that upside swing for them that I think makes a lot of sense, considering they have 7 shooting guards and 3 other players. Yeah, I'd do this for the Suns. For the Pelicans, you've already got Jordan Poole, Fears, and DeJounte Murray. I don't know. What do you do with Jalen Green? Alright, next one is the Trailblazers. We've got Scoot Henderson, Matisse Thybulle, Chris Murray to the Pelicans for Trey Murphy. Yeah, definitely. If you're the Trailblazers, he would fit beautifully into that team. Second fiddle to Avdia, but a really good one. Decent defender, I think. fits in nicely to their sort of culture. And the Blazers are kind of set at guard next year with Dame and Drew, and I think Scoot, along with these other guys, wouldn't really play that much, whereas Murphy would be an important cog in that team being competitive. So, yeah, I'm down for this for the Blazers. For the Pelicans, you could do a lot worse than Scoot Henderson, I think, as we've seen in a couple of these other deals. And you're also getting Chris Murray and a first, and Thibault, who can really defend even if he can't play offense to save his life. All these guys would fit nicely into New Orleans, I think, and they may as well at this point. I think you could get more picks from the Blazers. Just one doesn't seem like a lot when they've got a decent cachet, and Trey Murphy is your biggest asset by far, so you need to do well on this trade. Zach LaVine and Keon Ellis to the Bucks for Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma, Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, and a 2031 first. I feel like this trade is objectively not Kings because it's not them getting some old washed 3 years too late version of a good player. Here they're actually selling their players like that for assets and setting themselves up for the future. Crazy I would say that about Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma, Gary Harris, and Cole Anthony. But those are guys that you get rid of quite soon. You get a 2031 first, and you kind of pick a direction, which is what I think they really need to do. Zach LaVine to the Bucks and Keon Ellis. Both of them would immediately play and I think start for the Bucks, actually. And that poo-poo platter they're giving the Kings is not making a difference on the court for them. I wouldn't expect it to in Sacramento either, but LaVine really could. LaVine roasted Miami the other day, and it was terrible. But I can imagine Giannis would appreciate that kind of move. Keon Ellis just fits beautifully into that backcourt sort of rotation. I'm definitely doing that if I'm the Bucks, which is funny because it's a Kings trade, but I guess that makes perfect sense. Spurs and Knicks. Jeremy Sochan for the Milwaukee Bucks for Gary Harris, Amir Coffey, and a pick swap. Sure, not that interested in that trade, but also don't really see why the Spurs would do it unless they particularly want Gary Harris. Although a pick swap with the Bucks could low-key be sneaky, especially that far from now. The Bucks are getting Sochan. He could be fine for them, but if you're not trading Giannis, it's why do you need that guy? Raptors. Jacoby Walter to the Los Angeles Lakers for Dalton Connect. Look, I think this is just the person writing the article getting to trade 28 out of 30 and getting bored. I think there are a lot more interesting trades for the Raptors. I'll get to them at some point. This is just not interesting to me. Jazz. Walker Kessler and Cody Williams to the Pacers for Benedict Mathurin. Yeah, definitely. Kessler and Cody Williams are good players. Mathurin's showing real upside in the finals as a scorer. And I think he would go nicely on the Jazz. Kessler obviously is a good player, but he would go nicely in Indiana too. I can see why they'd do that deal. I just think Mathurin's kind of that more juicy sort of prospect for Utah, whereas Kessler, he's a good defender, but you can find another player like that. Wizards, last one. All right, this one is CJ McCollum to the Warriors for Kuminga, Hield, and a 2030 second round pick. I mean, I can see why the Warriors do this. Kuminga's definitely a decent upside swing for the Wizards. I wonder how much Golden State would hesitate with Hield. I guess CJ is just a better version of him, even though he's old. But I don't know, I feel like the Warriors could do more with that Kuminga deal, but if things get really toxic and that's what's out there, I'd take it. Alright, that was a lot of talking. Let me know what you think of my takes. I'm going to go take a throat lozenge, and I'm really looking forward to trade season here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. I hope your team doesn't get fleeced in the meantime.